JF Stretford, Paddock, that's Joe Smith. This is Transfers Live. Feels like we've not done a Transfers Live for ages.
Yeah.
Because when's the last time me and you stood here talking about Manchester United
very
signing
steps
players?
Here at Town Hall, once again, speaking to the nation. It's been too long, hasn't it? Well, I was on holiday. My COVID hell. That's the article in Heat magazine. Joe Smith, my COVID hell.
Have you got your compo face like?
Yeah. Holding up some sort of like pasta that gave me COVID. You were then going on holiday.
Yes.
Then you've come back.
Yes.
And here we are.
And here we are. Indeed. And we've got loads to talk about, Joe, as always on this channel. The thumbnail says four. Not one, not two, not three, but four players could be heading for the exit. So we're going to be talking about all four of them, obviously. We're going to be talking about, as well, Manchester United have been linked with a couple of youngsters.
Yeah.
Like youngsters, don't we, at Manchester United? That's what we've always done. It's in our DNA, of course. So we're talking about that. We'll talk about Paul Labille Pogba. PSG, still sniffing around, so there's a little bit of story there. We'll also, Joe, be talking about a game behind closed doors. Now, I know what you're going to say, Joe, because you're an educated man. You're going to say,
go on,
Jay, how can we possibly talk about a game that took place behind closed doors?
Go on.
The answer is, mates. I was took the kids on a tour that they've been mithering me for literally 2 years. Yeah. Took them today, and they said to us, there's a game you can watch.
There's a game on, by the way. You can watch it.
So we'll be talking a little bit about that because we saw Donny van der Beek, we saw Jesse Lingard getting in the action, and all that other stuff we've got to talk about. Get involved. Hit like, hit share, hit subscribe. Get involved in the comments. It is live, obviously. Let us know what you think about any of the subjects we're talking about tonight or anything you want to talk about here on Stretford Paddock. And if you're not doing, so I'll do an early plug.
Plug it.
Subscribe.
Yes.
We're almost there, right?
We're so close to 600,000 subscribers. Come on!
I'm an honest person, me,
Sorry,
Joseph.
if you got headphones on.
And we reached 500,000 on Full-Time Devils a while ago.
Yeah.
And it was a monumental event. It was like 500,000 subs for a football YouTube channel was unreal. And it's taken us a little while to get to 600, but we're almost there. And we appreciate every single one of you. Yeah. I'm already getting some stick for going today. Jammy Git J, I like that. That was from Manu Tonio. Right, we'll start off with Hakim Diallo.
Yeah.
Me and you've been talking about this young whippersnapper since he was at Atalanta, haven't we? And then he came over, 11th hour, highly rated. We have Romano on the channel who was talking about him, raving about him, how the Atalanta players thought he was the next big thing.
Yeah.
Was surprised we got him, thought Juve would have got him. We got him. What have you made of him when you've seen him in his cameos for Manchester United?
I think he's been good.
I agree.
I think probably too good to go out on loan. I think he could get 15, 20 appearances for United this season, which I know isn't tons, and maybe he can get more. Sheffield United's one that's been sort of mentioned most heavily. Maybe he might get 25, 30 for them. But I don't think he would be an unused sub the way maybe Pellistri or Pereira would be at United. I think he's, again, especially with Rashford being out, if you've got Dan James, Greenwood and Sancho on the pitch already, for me, he's the next player on in a wide position. He's sort of him and Juan Mata. Maybe that's the thing that you're sort of looking at Mata and saying he's going to come on more often. But I think it's just right on the cusp of being a good idea, this. I think this is really one of those that could go either way because I think he offers something to the first team that not many of our other players do. Sancho's probably come in and done. He's kind of the sort of similar style players, I think, him and Sancho, in that he's very creative. He's not just this sort of modern inverted forward that kind of, maybe Rashford is, where he looks to goal first before anything. Yeah. He's trying to get goals. He's trying to get, through on goal. Obviously, Rashford gets assists as well, but he's not a creator first. I think Diallo is that, and maybe Sancho comes in and just does that better than him. But to me, this one's, I can't really make my mind up on this, whether I think this is a good idea or not. What do you think?
No, I'm surprised. I've been impressed with Diallo since he's come in. He's looked live. He's not had loads of games, but obviously when he has come in, he's looked lively, he's looked good, he's looked effective.
And let's not forget, sorry, to
no,
but he only in terms of the amount of games he's played, he only joined in January.
Yeah.
And it wasn't as though I know we bought him in the summer, but he only came in January. And we were sort of in a title challenge at the time he came, so he's not just going to get like 3 minutes.
No.
We were in the latter stages of the Europa League, so he's not just going to get 3 minutes. And he still managed to get, 8 appearances for United, something in that ballpark.
But the thing is, when we got him, He played barely any professional football.
Yeah.
He'd had like 55 minutes or something in total at Atalanta. We were basing him off scouting reports from when he was in the reserve team or the academy teams there, and what how highly regarded he was. So he barely played any football. Played most of his football at Manchester United. Done well. Got a goal in Europa. I just wonder whether Anthony Elanga has leapfrogged over him. And maybe that's in all he's thinking. He's thinking, Elanga's had a very good pre-season, had a good end to last season where he got his goal, I think, against Wolves. Maybe he's thinking, was it against Wolves, wasn't it? I think it was.
Too much.
Get involved in the comments. I think he did, yeah. Maybe he's looked at it and gone, right, I've got Sancho, I've got James, I've got Mata, if you can class him as a similar position. I've got Martial, who can play out there as well. Rashford when he comes back. And Elanga. And Greenwood can actually play there, but to play Cavani and then put Greenwood out wide. So do I need Diallo as well? Because then you're getting into like 7 or 8 players.
Yeah.
He ain't going to get any games. I don't need that many.
Yeah.
James, obviously, Ollie rates him.
Yeah.
A lot of fans might, I've seen people saying this on socials going, I'd get rid of James or I'd send James out on loan. And I think the thing with that is as well, Ollie's very good and I think he's very underrated at management. And I think if you send James out on loan, that's an insult to him. Yeah. That's saying to him, you flopped. If you send Diallo out on loan, it's saying you're not quite ready for the first team yet. James has been in around first.
Yeah. He's probably going to get the same amount of appearances as Diallo, but we can't send one Mata out on loan.
No, that's just ridiculous. You don't send a 30-odd-year-old World Cup winner out on loan. So it makes sense from a man management point of view.
Yeah.
Yes, I want to see him, but I don't want to see him not get any games, stagnate, and maybe sitting there sulking, looking at Anthony Elanga and everyone getting more games than him. So if he is going to go out on loan, my only thing will be, I know this is probably getting a bit giddy and carried away, but I think he's good enough to play in the Premier League now.
Yeah.
I think he could go to someone like some of the teams, we're going to get into in a minute, Southampton and Norwich and Newcastle or whatever, and play 15, 20 games for them in the Premier League. Yeah. But Sheffield United, the Championship, is a good barometer in it to see where you're up to as a player. If you go there, you're not going to get it easy. No. It's not an easy...
Very good league.
It is a very good league. So we'll be interested to see what happens with that one. Go on, please.
An interesting stat about Dan James. I believe it's 26 games in a row that Dan James has played for Man United. We have gone unbeaten.
Shut up, really?
Yeah. It's either 22 or 26. I think it's 26. Someone will correct me if I'm wrong. But basically, the last 22 or 26 times, whatever it is, that Dan James has played for Man United, we haven't lost. How amazing is that?
Well, why don't we just play him every game and then we'll win the league?
That's what I'm saying.
That's factual. Logic.
Yeah. Logis.
Exactly. Do you know what I mean? Do you remember it was when Gareth Bale played for Spurs and they didn't win for 34 games or something when he played?
And when Jack Grealish first started in the Premier League, he didn't win a game for like 38 games or something,
did he? He went 20 games defeated.
20.
Hopefully he'll repeat that.
We started well. He's back on it.
Only another 19 to go.
Yeah.
That would be some record. I'm going to jump in some of the comments, then we'll move on. Stumpit Candletop, which is a fantastic name, says James is a great squad option. I agree. Amar says, wasn't he linked to Crystal Palace? I'm not sure. God says, how has Elanga leapfrogged Diallo? Diallo is the only one who didn't look lost in actual competitive games last season. He looked ready. You may disagree, but I think certainly in Ollie's mind that might be the case. And I actually think Elanga, he had a quiet game against Leicester. I think he played it too safe against Leicester, where it was just literally getting the ball, nice, simple passes.
He looked a little bit not overawed by the situation necessarily, but it's like he went, I'm going to just go safe. I'm not going to make any mistakes. I'm not going to take any risks. Yeah. And he's not about that. And then for the Wolves game, he was the opposite. He just went for it and did really well. And for an attacking player, you want to see him taking risks. You want to see him running at players, especially Elanga, the style of player he is. And he's done that when he's been in pre-season. So I just get the impression that he may have sort of put himself into that mix where Diallo still hasn't quite. So, a couple of people saying... Howard Chin says Elanga has a threat about him. Adam McCullough says, like the video. Yes, very well said, Mr. McCullough. Do like the video. And if you're not doing it, as I keep saying, subscribe to the channel. Should we move on from Amad Diallo to Brandon Williams? Yeah. Hey, North Love Manchester's finest. Love that. He is hard. He is hard, isn't it? I won't mess with Brandon Williams. One of the players that I got to see today in the behind closed doors game, I don't like to talk about. This is like the Fergie interview all over again. This. Oh, the time I interviewed Ferguson? Yeah, that one. I don't really like to talk about the time I interviewed the greatest ever manager in the history of association football. So can we just move on, please? Yeah. Brandon Williams going to Norwich. Yeah. It looks like, my friend, as the graphic there on your screen says, that's happening. United are keen to get through the weekend trip to Southampton before sanctioning a deal. That's in the Athletic.
Williams to Norwich.
Yeah.
Thoughts?
My thoughts on that are that makes sense. I think it's a good level for him. I don't know enough about Norwich's squad to know how many games he'll get there, but the fact that he can play left back or right back increases his chances of playing. I think that's probably at the moment his level. I think he's a sort of a Premier League player, but I don't think he's quite ready to be playing for a team that is, in an ideal world, challenging for the title this season. I just think he's a good player, and I think that there's still a couple of levels to go for him. I don't think he's peaked.
I'm glad you said that.
I think he's 20 years old. There's still a long way to go. Look at Luke Shaw. I know Luke Shaw was, 17 or 18 when he was one of the most highly regarded fullbacks in the world, as in potential-wise, what he could become. I know he doesn't necessarily have that level of background so far, but Luke Shaw's taken till he's 25 to really get going as a player. And, most of the top fullbacks in the world come into their own in the middle of their 20s. You look at, any of the best fullbacks, generally speaking, it's mid-20s onwards. So he's still got a long time to improve. I wouldn't get rid of him yet by any means, but he probably won't get too many games in the first team. And Norwich, very good level for him. What do you reckon?
I agree with a lot of what you said there. In fact, all of it. Because, you mentioned there about the best fullbacks getting into their sort of stride in their mid-20s, early to mid-20s. It does happen, and people say, you shouldn't compare players. Why not? Look at the best fullbacks sort of we've had here. The sort of benchmark for me will always be someone like Dennis Irwin. Fantastic. When he was a youngster, he was at Oldham. He was at Leeds. He didn't get even Leeds, I think, let go of him. He went to Oldham, was playing in the second tier for Oldham. I think he eventually got promoted, or he might have come just before he got promoted. And we bought him from there. Then in his early 20s, mid-20s, he became just the most consistent footballer I've ever seen. I'm not exaggerating. He was just ridiculously good. Now, people, you're saying that Brandon Williams is going to be Dennis. I'm not. My point is that even if someone like Dennis Irwin can take into his early 20s, mid-20s to get as good as he can, why can't Brandon Williams? So
I think it was either 30 or almost 30 appearances he had season before last, Brandon Williams.
Yeah.
I think he's played enough football at the top level to prove to us he's not ready to be sold, certainly.
Yeah.
There's something there. And again, if you take into account the potential for sort of 4 or 5 years more improvement, I think it would be silly to sell him at this point, but he's probably not going to get enough opportunities to stay in. So, perfect.
Willie Williams asking, Jay, how match fit did Sancho look? We'll get into that a little bit later. I'll talk a little bit about that. But Jadon Sancho, I saw the first half of the game, and Jadon Sancho, he looked good. I mean, he just looked tidy on the ball and looked like he was pretty confident as well. I saw him have one shot on target, which was a bit of a pass back, to be honest with you. But obviously bigger things.
But what a pass back!
What a pass back! Exquisite. Seems like we're going from one extreme to the other here. We'll move on to Andreas Pereira, who is probably the man that most United fans. I think it's safe to say most. I don't like to say most United fans. What most United fans think, but we can be. Some of them things are pretty obvious. Most United fans would be happy for him to move on.
Most United fans are happy we signed Rafael Varane. Most United fans think Jadon Sancho is a good player.
Yeah, you're right.
Most United fans don't think Andreas Pereira has got much of a career at Manchester United left in him. No. And I think, Brazilian club Flamengo wish to loan Pereira with a purchase option. It's weird to me. I know that the world has gone completely mad in the last 2 years or 18 months specifically. But it seems to me like, why is it so difficult to sell this man? Because we're surely not asking for 30 million for him. We're probably going to get around 10 million, maybe 8, maybe 12 if we're lucky. Do you know what I mean? It's going to be in that ballpark, you would have thought. Surely there's someone willing to pay 8 million quid for Andreas Pereira. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It just seems weird that we keep having to loan him out. What is he, 23, 24 now? He's at an age
It feels like, I need to Google this, because he feels like he's been 24 for about 5 years, which I know he's not. He's 25.
Yeah. We know what we're going to get out of him. He could improve, but even if he improves, like I said about Brandon Williams, by the time you get to your mid-20s, you kind of, the player you're going to be, and you maybe have a 10% to get better in this direction, a 10% in this. Even if he gets better at everything by 10%, he's probably not going to be good enough for Manchester United. So I don't quite see why we're struggling to sell him so much. A loan with a purchase option, maybe that purchase option is actually more of a, we'll buy him, don't worry, but let's just not make it official. Who knows? But to me, that makes sense again.
I think the problem with Pereira is there's not a position where I feel like he really excels and makes his own. in pre-season, he's probably at his best games.
Well, someone just saying there, the pre-season Pirlo, as he became known, cult legend, that was Koji Badko there.
Yeah, you're right, Koji. That's exactly it. He looked really good in pre-season a few seasons ago, and everyone was like, actually, played DM then.
Yeah.
Thought, actually, he could be the answer
to deep line playmaker kind of.
He could be the answer to that, and he had a bit about him getting stuck in.
Yeah.
Played there, didn't really work out. Try him in the 10, didn't really work out. He's been played out on wing. I think he went out on loan. Was it Valencia or wherever he went? Was played out on wing. Not quite a winger. He's like almost like a jack of all trades type player, and it's a shame because there's a lot to like about Pereira. He's always got on with it. You know what I mean? Like he's one of those who will always try his best. It's just I don't think his best is quite good enough.
No,
it's not like you question his attitude or his application or anything or his
decision
effort.
Making.
Yeah, it's just that natural, that ability that you need to be a Manchester United player probably isn't there, and it's a shame because, like I say, he seems like a likeable lad. But this isn't the Make-A-Wish Foundation. You have to be good enough at football to play for Manchester United, and I just don't think he's at that levels. So if he can go to Flamengo, let's not forget he's a Brazilian international as well. I know it's only one cap, but he's played for his country. So maybe he can rejuvenate, if that's the right word for a 25-year-old, his career at Flamengo. I don't think many United fans, like you say, Joe, it's a pretty safe assumption to speak for most United fans on that one.
Speaking of Man United players getting caps, by the way.
Yes.
You may know this, you may remember this. It slipped my mind at least. Do you remember that Fraser Campbell got an England cap?
Right, I don't, but you're leading me to something here.
How mad is that?
Was this around the sort of Jay Bothroyd time of?
I think it might be. It was under
David
Stuart Pearce.
Nugent types
Stuart
of
Pearce was like, I'm just going to play anyone. Fraser Campbell had scored 6 league goals in 4 years leading up to his England cap. How astonishing is that?
Because I like obviously ex-United player, was great for the academy. We all like Fraser Campbell. Yeah, I'm just googling, not that doubted, but I think as well he'd played a few times in the 21s and had a half decent record for them. Maybe that came into it. But you're right, that is a bit bizarre. Yeah. It leads me to my next. The stat that I found out the other day that I thought had to be, I'm even going to double check it now.
Really?
Because
I like this.
Someone told me this, I don't know, Chris
Bruce
from the Grey Horse, big shout out to him. I knew that.
And Fraser Campbell did.
That's mad. This is one that I got told was that Kieran Richardson had more England caps than Lee Sharp.
Really?
Now, that might not seem like a lot to some people. Some of the younger people are probably going, Lee Sharp. Yeah, but he was mint.
Yeah, and he was a big name as well. He was quite a famous player, wasn't he? He was not Beckham, obviously, but he had that kind of sort of flashy, almost celebrity to him, didn't he? Above being just a footballer, Lee Sharp.
I think it's wrong, that, because it says here on my I've just looked it up. It's saying they both got 8. They both got the same, Chris. What are you doing to me?
Either way, it's the same amount.
The same amount. Don't get me started on Michael Carrick's amount of caps. And the amount of players that have got more than him.
He's got like 22 or something.
It's ridiculous. Any old Josh has got more caps than Michael Carrick, which is just absolute nonsense. But that is a bit of a strange one, Fraser Campbell. Pereira, wish him well if indeed he does move to Flamengo, which it looks like it's going to happen because, and I think this is a good sort of measurement of where United are now compared to when Ole came in. When Ole came in, Pereira played like 40 games, didn't he, or whatever it was that season.
30 odd.
Yeah, now you look at him, he won't get near, he probably won't get on the bench.
No.
And I think, you look at the recruitment, you look at the youngsters coming through, there has been an improvement in the Manchester United squad since Ole Gunnar Solskjaer took over.
And there's just so much less, and I hate calling it deadwood because it always is just I know that's just an umbrella term that people use to describe anything that's sort of surplus to requirements, but it does seem a little bit disrespectful to call people like Phil Jones, who's a Premier League winner and has started hundreds of games or over 100 games for Manchester United, deadwood. But we do have less of those players that you go, why is he still here? It's kind of down to 1 or 2 now, isn't it?
Yeah.
Whereas when Ole first came in, it was like, Jones was probably still one of them, to be fair, but there was Young, there was just loads of players still loitering around, Darmian and people that you were just like, why are they still here?
Yeah.
Whereas now, we're down to kind of Pereira, Jones, some would say Mata maybe, but he's so likeable that he doesn't kind of get thrown in, but that's kind of it. You know what I mean? So, he's done a great job in terms of that, and, that's no knock on Pereira. Not everyone's good enough to play for Man United, and he's done so until he was 25, which is pretty impressive anyway, isn't it?
Yeah, of course it is. There's quite a lot of comments. I'll try and read some of them out.
Go on, then.
Are pretty funny.
You dare.
David Harper says, Richardson came about when we had no left-sided players. That's true. He got a few games, didn't he? He scored 2 on his debut as well for England, if memory
Where did he play for England? Was he playing fullback or was he playing as a winger?
I think he was playing as a winger. Ryan says, I used to go watch Hull City every week and Fraser Campbell came on loan to us and got us promotion to the Premier League in 2008. He was so good that season, showed real promise. Yeah. Injury ruined him. Yes.
And by the way, it was 2012 when he made his debut for England, so well after his academy years.
John Shin says, hey, big shout out to John Shin. I'm going to get him back on the channel soon. Says, I'm sorry, Joe. Phil Jones is a lovely lad. Yeah. But Deadwood nonetheless.
Shame.
No, but
I don't disagree with what it means. I just feel like the term itself is slightly disrespectful.
Someone said as well, I'm sorry, I've missed who it was. People would talk about caps and someone said Carlton Palmer had more caps than Steve Bruce. Well, yeah, anyone who had an England cap had more than Steve Bruce. Johnson. Someone else mentioned Gordon Hill's amount of caps. Sorry, I've lost who commented there as well. Yeah. Shall we move on, my friend, to the next story?
Yes.
Paul Labille, Pogba.
We said it all. Let's cut right to the new bit. 510 grand, madness.
Yeah, if he goes in the summer.
Yeah. What do you make of that figure? Because we kind of know our opinion on Pogba going or staying at this point. We've been over it so many times. This is the new information of the rumours are 510 grand a week. More than double what he's on now.
We're getting into the position now with Paul Pogba. We've always said that he should, if he's going to go, he should go now for some money, and we bring another player in. The window is closing. Yeah. We're not going to have much time.
Well, how long we got left? We've got
13 days.
13 days.
Yeah, something like that. So, even if he isn't going to sign a new deal, we're at the point now where, okay, he's going to go in the summer. We're just trying to get the best out of him between now and the end of the summer. Maybe we are, I don't know, but it makes sense. They've just got Messi. This is their new MO, isn't it? Messi on a free, Ronaldo on a free, Ramos on a free. Just
Hakimi for 60 million.
Amazing players, basically.
Legends.
Donnarumma on a free. Like, on free transfers and then give them loads of money.
Is that the greatest transfer window of all time? Messi, Donnarumma, Wijnaldum, Hakimi, Ramos.
Obertan, Michael Owen, Antonio Valencia in, Tevez, and Ronaldo out. That's the greatest window of all time.
Is that the second greatest window of all time? That's astonishing, isn't it? Every one of those players are, at minimum, excellent, and at best, the greatest player of all time. Arguably.
Yeah,
that's pretty insane.
That is ridiculous. Yeah, it's up there with our 2007-2008 transfer window.
Which was, remind us?
Carlos Tevez. Yeah. Owen Hargreaves. Yeah. Nani. Yeah. Anderson.
Which is funny because
missing someone out there. Forgive me for missing one. But
funny because that is a sensational window. But when you actually think about it, not one of those players was actually amazing for Man United for a real extended period of time, were they?
They were amazing for that season. Two of them were in Tevez and Hargreaves. Hargreaves' season is so amazing, so underrated. And then you had Nani, who was just a showreel merchant. He's great. I love Nani. I'm not knocking him, but he was one of those. And Anderson, who had fits and starts. But you're right. I mean, it was a very good window because
it was.
I think Anderson was Golden Ball winner or whatever.
Yeah, brilliant.
Like Hargreaves had just won the Champions League with, or he'd won the Champions League at Bayern Munich. Tevez, we knew what he could do because his time at West Ham. So it's a really good window. But you're right. I mean, it's not really comparable. So what you've got there is a load of like you say, legends or top tier players. But it kind of works, doesn't it? Juve do it, don't they, to a lesser degree?
Yeah, they did it a couple of years ago, didn't they?
They love a free transfer, don't they?
They got, what was it, Ramsey and the Rabiot and a couple of other, I know they spent a bit of money on Delete, but they like...
Emre Can
as well. Can, yeah. They like these sort of older or end of contract players. We'll sweep them up and then sort of spit out what doesn't quite work for us. But in terms of Paul Pogba, 510 grand a week, I don't want United to compete with that. It's this thing, we can't compete with that. I don't want us to compete with that. I don't think he... And I love Paul Pogba. I think he's been way better than people make out for Manchester United. He hasn't been that good for Manchester United. He hasn't been £510,000 a week good for United. I saw an article today in a proper publication that said, have we finally found Paul Pogba's best position at Manchester United? He's been at the club for 4 years, and we still argue 5 years, and we still argue what is his best position. Now, I don't subscribe to this. He's only had 5 good games for Man United. He's had loads of good games for United, but if we're still saying what's his best position, he's been here 4 years. That's like that's 3/4 of the peak of a footballer. 5 years. Yeah. That's basically the peak years of a footballer. Yeah. And we don't know his best position. Yeah. We cannot be paying him 500 grand a week. If that's what PSG are offering, go and have it. Yeah. As far as I'm concerned.
It's weird, Pogba, because you have to have, it's almost like this thing where you have to have extreme views on him. You have to think he's the greatest player ever, or you have to think he's an absolute charlatan and you should move on. You can't have a nuanced discussion where you go, actually, I really like Paul Pogba, he's one of the best players we've got. He should just do it a bit more consistently. People don't want to hear that, but that's where I am.
Like, look at the Leeds game, 4 assists, incredible. And then you hear the stat, Paul Pogba's got more assists this season than he got last season. Yes, that's amazing. 4 assists in a game, incredible. How did he only get 3 assists last season? That is not good enough for Paul Pogba. I know he had a good year, and there was 2 or 3 games especially where he scored game-winning goals and stuff. But the fact that he only got 3 league assists is bad for Paul Pogba. So yes, it was sensational.
Yeah, you can't have it both ways. You can't think that Paul Pogba's amazing and then say, 3 league assists is good enough.
No.
It's not for a player that calibre. Yeah. 3 league assists is good enough if you're shit at football.
Aaron Wan-Bissaka had more than that, or the same
Paul
as that.
Paul Pogba's far from shit. He's amazing.
Yeah.
So, hopefully, no matter what, I just want to see him perform to his best ability this season.
Yes, me too.
And hopefully win us titles, or a title, or Champions League, whatever, you know. Yeah, or both. That'd be great, Paul, if you're listening. Right, so we know what's going on there. 510k, that's what they do in Paris Saint-Germain with all that money they've earned from their hard-earned work.
And the hard-earned work of very poorly paid people from other countries coming in and building their...
Some would consider slave labour. Yeah. In fact, anyone with a remote interest in language would call it slave labour.
Allegedly.
Should we move on to Jesse Lingard? From one academy player from the 2011 FA Cup youth winning team to another.
I like what we've done there.
West Ham set to make another move
Another
for Jesse.
move!
Another move.
Sorry. Yeah.
Another move. Yes. Do you want him to go, Joseph?
We've sort of been through this again, haven't we? And the thing that annoys me is, yes, fair enough, maybe he should go. He's not going to get much game time at United. Not quite the same situation as Pereira, because he's had a much better career for Manchester United. He's had brilliant games.
Yeah.
He's won us trophies. He's been excellent for Manchester United down the years. But he's not going to play that many games. He is good enough to start for a sort of top 10 team that isn't Manchester United, so I think maybe he should. The thing that annoys me is Man United, the article last night coming out, I think it was in the Times, going, West Ham are reluctant to pay United's 25 million valuation. That's not too much.
No.
That's not too much money. Sheffield United paid 30 million quid for Ryan Brewster. Do you know what I mean? This is Jesse Lingard, who's England, plenty of England caps. Like I said, he's won United trophies. He's been involved in successful, good teams. He's proven the end of last season, that he's still got plenty in the tank. He's a very good player, and we can't possibly imagine giving someone 25 million for that player. That's shit to me.
Yeah.
I don't want to sell him for 16 million, and obviously it's not my money, and the thoughts of the player are kind of factored into everything. But he's worth 25 million. That isn't silly money for Jesse Lingard.
No, I'm not going to argue with that, because I think it is a nonsense that you can get a player of that calibre. He's 28 as well. So he's got, and you look at his physique and the way he looks after himself. You've got 4 years there. Yeah. He'll play till he's 32 in the Premier League, 100%, right? So for 25 million, for a player that in 16 games for your club was your player of the season, basically. Yeah. Some may argue Declan Rice, but it's debatable. Yeah. You're not willing to pay that. And you saw the lift he gave them. You saw how he made everyone around him better. He became the focal point of that team. Now, I know they had a decent opening fixture against Newcastle. I know Ben Rama, your man in your fantasy team, stepped up. But he's not as likely as to get or to be as successful this season as Jesse Lingard. I think Ben Rama had 1 goal last season. Jesse Lingard had 9 in 16 games plus 5 assists. Yeah. A ridiculous record. So, someone's saying there, Disciple Volley, £30 million. If it is 30 million quid, even that, I think 30 million quid is bang on the money for him. Yeah. I think you're getting a very good player who's had a lot of Premier League experience and has shown you for your club already how he fits into your team. That's the kicker for me there. You're not going, we paid 30 million, is he going to fit in? Is he going to be any good? Is he going to work? You know he will, because he did. Yeah. And it's only like 4 months ago that he was absolutely fine for you and was very, very unlucky not to make the final squad for England Euros. Brown Sugar in the Super Chat says, worst thing about the Pogba stuff, it's going to drag on all year regardless of what happens. Want to ignore it and focus on him balling out on the pitch. I think we all do.
I think what will happen is, and you'll notice this trend, whenever United are doing well on the pitch, you won't hear about any of the problems with Paul Pogba, any of this rumours of him going elsewhere. That will all be brushed to one side. This is the Paul Pogba United wanted. This is As soon as we start losing, as soon as he gives the ball away and then we concede and we draw or lose, that's when you'll hear about. All of a sudden, that's when Pogba's had a bust up in the training room. That's when Raiola will have said this behind closed. It always follows the cycles of kick United when they're down. So at the minute, we beat Leeds 5-1. Everything's rosy. This is the Paul Pogba we want. United still confident of making him sign a new contract. These are the rumours we're hearing. As soon as if he has 3 bad games in a row, it'll all go flying up in the air because it's that last year. You can basically say what you want about the situation and no one's going to go, well, that's not true, because no matter what, there's always that sort of thing people can fall back on of, he hasn't signed a new deal yet. So it's basically open season on Paul Pogba. So expect that as soon as things don't go quite to plan, there's going to be so much slander against Paul Pogba. But you know, we kind of got to put up with it, haven't we?
Yeah, I mean, Ollie says he's got. It's just, yeah, you're right about Paul Pogba's situation. Is just before we move on from Jesse Lingard.
Yeah.
Ollie says he's got a big part to play. Is that just Ollie saying what he says about any player that's at the club?
Yeah.
He said it about Sanchez, didn't he, when he was on loan at Inter?
Yeah.
Dan Barrett, welcome to the first team. Thanks for your support. Andrew Stewart with a super chat asking about James Garner. Is Ollie keeping Garner unless we sign a midfielder? I always feel with Garner that I feel like he's a season away. Not always feel with Garner. That's nonsense. I think he had a very good loan at Nottingham Forest last season. Didn't have such a good loan at Watford for different reasons. But I think he's probably going to go out on loan. It's talking him going back to Forest, isn't it?
Seems to be locked in some sort of contract dispute at the moment, doesn't he? So we'll see how that goes.
We want to keep him because I think there's potentially a very good player there, but it is potentially. He's not quite there yet. No. I wouldn't trust him in the first team this season, but definitely in the seasons coming. Should we talk about today's game? The behind closed doors friendly against Burnley.
You wonder how often these take place, don't you? Maybe it's not that often.
Yeah.
Because the club mentioned it this evening. Obviously, after we'd put out what you'd filmed at Old Trafford earlier, they sort of mentioned it. And maybe if it happens sort of regularly, you'd hear it more, and you don't. But you sort of think these sorts of games could go on. Maybe obviously toward the end of the season you wouldn't, but first 6 weeks of the season, these could be happening every year, couldn't they?
Yeah, I think the strange thing is they usually happen at Carrington. There was one, and my memory's shocking, but I can't remember who it was that told me. I think it was a journalist I was chatting to, sort of off the record. He was saying that there was a game behind closed doors with Alexis Sanchez that sort of made up Ollie's mind for him about him. I think it was Sanchez who was saying that he was just terrible.
Yeah, just
and
not
Sanchez was like, Ollie was like, no, I'm not even relying with this guy at all. If I'm going to keep this job, he's not part of my plans.
Yeah.
So you don't really hear about these things. They're usually at Carrington. They've had it at Old Trafford today for whatever reason, which is a bit weird because it was like no one knew about it. We were on the tour, me and the kids and missus. Got told you can't go in the changing room. Well, we're not going to do the tour near the changing room. There's an event on, whatever that means. And then it's like, actually, there's a game on. You can come and watch some of it. So we got to watch the first half. People, if you've not checked it out, go and see the video. We've got some of the highlights there. But we was allowed to do a bit of filming as well in there because obviously you just done the tour, you do what you want.
And also it's not televised.
Yeah, not televised. You can see that.
Maguire's goal here. Well, I say it's Maguire's goal. It hits Martial, doesn't it?
Well, my eyesight is shocking. I was lucky I saw it was a goal, let alone who scored it. But yeah, people saying it, Martial's back. The big sort of thing today was Varane going to play, wasn't it? He didn't feature. Sancho played, I saw a bit of him. He looked good. He looked, there wasn't much you can gauge from that. He looked comfortable as you expect. He's obviously getting used to him being in a United shirt.
Speaking of Jesse Lingard, he got a goal as well.
Jesse Lingard got a goal. He's looked good in pre-season. He looked good today. Donny van der Beek was one who was started as well. Obviously, doesn't get many starts for Manchester United. He looked pretty good. It was a physical game as well. There was actually a bit of kicking off. Argy-bargy, yeah.
Where does that come from? Is that some sort of anti-Argentinian slander, that phrase?
I got in trouble. I got in trouble once. Not in trouble. People commented, and I don't use it anymore because I used to say handbags.
Yeah.
And people say, don't say that.
Right.
Because it's a bit
derogatory.
It's derogatory, right, which is fine. I'm prepared to move with the times, but I don't know where argy-bargy comes from. That was something. It's just one of those sayings, isn't it? Yeah. But yeah, there was a bit of kicking off. Yeah. Bit of. Yeah, bit of this and that. Do you know what I mean? Bit of scrapping, bit of afters. Yeah, getting amongst it. Yeah. And Eric Bailly got booked.
Yeah, I saw that. Looked absolutely excellent. Like it's a not even pre-season. It's a mid-season friendly. Chill out, Eric. Chill out.
And I saw the Burnley player was like trying to sort of like shake his hand or whatever and say like, oh, come on then. And he was like having none of it. So yeah, they took it quite seriously. And you got to think of some of these players, likes of Van der Beek, maybe in likes of Bailly, Jesse Lingard, Andy Martial, and Matic. They've got a little bit of something to prove in terms of like reminding Ollie what they're about or showing that they're about. Who knows whether that's going to have an effect for Ollie's thinking going into the game against Southampton. But as I said earlier, that video is up on the channel. Go and check it out. You know what made me laugh about that as well? My kids thought like that's just normal. But when you go on the tour, there's a game going on.
They're just putting on a game. For like, do you know when you go to like Disneyland or whatever, and you go through, or you go through some like old mining village, and they've got that like little toy characters like hitting the rock all the time to show. Here's what it was like in 1840. It's like that's what it's like at Old Trafford. Here's what it's like with Manchester United play, and they've just got these like look-alike players sort of playing a game 24/7 just on robot strings like that. Donny van der Beek scores the goal.
That's what I mean.
This is where the Busby Babes play. You're like, no, this doesn't happen every week. These aren't some like animatronic footballers who are just constantly putting a match on.
I think it was my lad who was like, "Can we come tomorrow and watch them again?" I'm
like, this doesn't happen every. This is once in a lifetime. This doesn't ever happen, let alone every day. No wonder like Maguire's injured. You said as well, Maguire was doing sprints at half time.
Oh yes, he was. Yeah, really bizarre because we saw like the first half and then half. It was a bit unfortunate, if you can call getting to see a behind closed doors friendly unfortunate for the last bit, because he took us round like the ground, so it's like you watch 50 minutes here, 50 minutes there, and for the final 50 minutes it was the half time. So all you saw was like some players warming up at half time, and it was good though because there was kids about and the players were waving. Pogba and Bruno came out and waved to the kids, but Maguire, who always seems to play.
And there's so many comments on Twitter and stuff as well, like, why is Maguire playing in this? Why
he played,
he plays every game.
Yeah, at half time he was doing sprints. Like, honestly, one of the coaches, I thought it was Kieran McKenna or whatever, was with him on the pitch, and he was doing sprints, not even like, it was literally sprints up and down and timing or whatever. And I was like, are they trying to hurt this man? Has he done something wrong? Is it like, we don't like you anymore?
Like he's some sort of prisoner of war that is just being dragged out.
So you're going to play in this game,
holding
you're going to start.
Holding a salt bag above his head. Like, why is this? Is this cruelty? What's happening? Should we report this? Is this man okay? Like, he just plays every minute of every game for everyone, all the time.
It's like...
He is doing a daily game for the tour, by the way. He's just doing a one-man show all the time. And as you can see, Harry Maguire doing his daily sprints. He does 9 hours a day.
Harry, there's people watching this. Come on, there's kids up there. Get going. So it was really bizarre, but obviously, you know, the club know what they're doing. They're keeping him fit, and we need him fit. We need Harry Maguire.
Yes.
As the end of last season proved.
Hey,
go on.
You say we need him, we do need him, but Lindelof and Varane doesn't sound like a bad partnership either, does it? Such a massive thing getting Varane in. And the fact that Lindelof is also a good player, our centre-backs look much better now. I know that's a slightly side point. But
No, I mean, they do, but for me...
no question. Maguire's a better player than Lindelof, as is Varane. But now we have rotation at centre-back without...
No, you're right, because you think about it, like, towards the end of Fergie's reign, Vidic and Rio started missing games, and people may scoff, but it's true. Smalling, Evans, Jones came in and did decent jobs, did good jobs. I think as long as you've always got one very good centre-back, like a world-class centre-back, which I would put Maguire in and Varane both in that sort of category, you'll get away with having a centre-back who's maybe a 7 out of 10. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Like, the reason we all got probably expected a bit more from the likes of Smalling and Jones was because when you put Smalling or Jones next to a Rio or a Vidic, they look all right. Evans the same, look good. But when you put them next to each other, that's when it's sort of you start getting red flags thrown up. So, like you say, got good options, got 2 absolutely outstanding centre-backs as well, and some very good ones. Eric Bayer's a very good centre-back, as is Vitz Lindelof. And we've even loaned one out to Villa as well, so it's all, it's not all doom and gloom. No. CJ Legend says the Flamengo deal makes sense, especially if they looked at Pereira's games for Brazil earlier in his career. Yep, as I said before, he's got a Brazilian cap. Should we look at some incomings potentially? Yes, because it's not as busy on the old, United transfer incoming links. There is a lad whose name is going to absolutely wreak havoc with my
I'm going to let you deal with this one, and here's what I want. You can see it on the screen there, so there's no questions about it. I just want confidence. I want Jay Motti to just say it once, and that's how we say it, yeah? And I'll follow your lead on it.
Ile Mariba. I'm guessing
I like that.
the X is silent. Yeah.
Silent X.
It might not
which is
be.
what we all bloody want, Paul. Bit of that. No. Never know what I'm about. Ile Maribe. I'm going with Ile as well. I don't know.
Hey,
It could be Ile. It could be sort of Ajax.
Yeah.
I haven't heard it said out loud.
And
I think Ile sounds
me
good.
For butchering it if we've got it completely wrong. But we're going
the confidence.
No, because I feel bad because it's such a like, what's your name?
But it's not. Well, I agree. I know what you mean. But I don't know that many people have seen him play to know.
Yeah.
And I think you're good at these things, Jay.
Yeah, right.
Go on then.
United monitoring the situation. I mean, that's an awful headline straight away.
Yeah.
United monitoring the situation. That is the most meaningless one of the meaningless
it's up there,
ones.
It's up there.
Do you know what I mean? It's like,
What's more meaningless? Monitoring the situation or registering interest?
I think registering interest, because registering interest isn't even a thing. Like, at least monitoring the situation is kind of a thing.
It has sort of more advanced implications, doesn't it? Monitoring the situation means we are watching or listening or keeping updates.
So if it seems that he's not signed a new deal or his agent says a statement that makes you think like it was, we might make them an offer.
Yeah.
Registering interest, that doesn't work as a sentence. Hello, I'd like to register some interest, please.
Okay. Do you expect us like we don't have like a form or anything?
You informing me you've no method of registering my interest?
Well,
I'll take my interest elsewhere, good man.
It's quite an abstract thing. I don't really know what you mean. It's kind of. And when someone came into your shop and went, we've been monitoring your tax situation, you think, fuck, they've got info. But I was like, we've registered an interest in your tax arrangement.
You've done what?
Well, I was trying to scare you a little bit, but
Mate, why don't you go and register yourself?
Why don't you put yourself on the sex offenders register?
Do you know what? We've not had a good sex offender comment
Come on!
for ages on this channel. It's
been
usually
2
me
weeks.
you're throwing it at. So I'm glad
Not
to
this
see
time.
the person registering the tax interest is getting it instead.
Good.
That fictional person in that scenario.
Yeah.
It's meaningless, but this kid is highly rated. I don't know a lot about him. I'm not going to pretend I do, other than what I've read on this bit of screen here that says he's 18. He's a central midfielder, and he's played for Barcelona. He's played 14 games for Barcelona, or 18 games in total, sorry. And it's actually interesting now, isn't it? Because Barcelona are in such disarray that you think, well, years ago you think he's at Barcelona, forget about that, you ain't getting him. And now it's like, do you want him? You could probably have him.
I was having a chat the other day. I can't remember who they're with now, so sorry for the disrespect. It might be my flatmate. And he just sort of said, do you know like De Jong or someone who's like firmly in their first team, one of their best players, probably worth one of the most in their team, Frankie De Jong, very good player. Do you think if we went up to them and was like, we'll give you 80 million for De Jong, do you think they'd just sort of go, oh, fuck, all right? Like, do you think everyone at Barcelona is theoretically for sale now?
I wonder
and
how
for a good chunk less than
I wonder how it works, because I always think, like, in it with Barcelona, they owe the banks this money.
Yeah.
And, like, the banks aren't calling in these debts, and it's like, because if they do, the club could fold and then everyone will hate the banks or whatever, or you know, whatever. But I think if you, like, publicly made an offer like that for De Jong of, like, it's $1 million, and then Barcelona would almost have to, wouldn't they?
That's what I'm
because
thinking,
how could you
they?
say no, and then the banks are going, wait a minute, well, you owe us all this money, you haven't got it, and you're just turning down 80 million
Yeah,
quid.
but then there's the other side of it where you go, well, part of the reason why this sort of debt is acceptable, it's not acceptable, but the part of the reason that me and you couldn't get into $1 billion worth of debt is because the perceived value of this club as an asset, and therefore the players within it, are sort of propped up against the debt. So if they're willing to sell all their best players for half price, that asset as a whole is worth less, and therefore the debt is more catastrophic. So there's almost like they kind of have to save face by not doing that at the risk of getting more debt, because otherwise it's like, if this whole thing's just a fire sale, that 1.3 billion might not ever get touched.
Yeah.
Whereas if they go, our squad is worth $1 billion, so actually if we ever had to, we have assets more than the debt. Yeah. But if they're just selling any old fucker for, whatever money, then all of a sudden that debt's like almost worth as much as the club. So it's kind of somewhere in the middle. I wonder what was going on there. Anyway, it's not a situation.
No,
but surely players like Maribe here would be, sellable by Barcelona in the current state they're in. Added 200 million euros worth of debt since January.
That is scary.
You
think
scary.
we're in trouble with the Glazers.
Yeah.
I mean, we are, because they're horrible.
Yeah.
But then you look at Barcelona as well, and you think that somehow they've been even more poorly managed.
At least our debt has remained relatively stable, which is a testament to just the unwillingness for the Glazers to move any of it when they could have over the last 15 years, and maybe now they can't, and now they're starting to shit it. I'm not trying to, but at least it hasn't gone from 500 million, 400 million to 800 million, a billion, at one point. Like, to add 200 million quid's worth of debt in 7 months is astonishingly bad.
That's why there's still this sort of idea going around that the Super League could happen again. Yeah. That they need it. That Real Madrid are still, going to go for it again, and that other clubs may do as well. But yeah, I mean, it is ridiculous. And when
it's quite sad as well.
It is quite sad. And Barcelona, for me, have lost a lot of their lustre that they had. When I was a kid growing up, sort of in the early 90s, Barcelona were like a team that you always admired, you respected. Yeah. They won the Champions League, I think, for the first time, I think it was in 92 or whatever. And then when they gave us a lesson in the new camp, admittedly we had the 3-4 in a row, but let's not go into that. You were like, Barcelona was always a glamour club, and it was exciting when you played them, and it's like, oh, do you know what, I played Barcelona, the great games against them in the 90s. You always respected them. Yeah. They always, they didn't have the sponsor, they were just one of those clubs that had an aura about, and Catalonia and all the rest of it.
And they also sort of epitomised European-style football, didn't they? They were doing it a bit different.
Yeah, and they always had these great players like Samuel Eto'o, Ronaldinho, and then obviously the Messi era and all that. But now it's just like, look at him, there's just something really distasteful about him. They're just poorly run, they just spend money they haven't got. There's just this arrogance about him as well that I think it's like, oh, well, we can just do this and get away with it. And then it's like, you go back to that game against Bayern Munich that just summed up how mismanaged this entire football club has been, where you've got, was it Ousmane Dembele and Antoine Griezmann, I think, for like a total of 250 million quid's worth of players, I think, on the bench or whatever. Yeah. You've got Felipe Coutinho's £145 million signing, playing against you and getting a brace against you while he's still your player.
While you're getting battered, what was it, like 7-2 or something
7-2. Like it's just, that's just an absolute gross dereliction of duty by anyone involved in that club. So yeah, it's hard to feel as sorry for them as you might have done sort of 10 years ago because they're no longer, for me, that Barcelona that you always go, oh, you know what, they're the sort of, the ones we all aspire to be like. They're how it should be done.
Yeah.
And they've got.
They always have the biggest stadium in Europe and all these things.
It's something special, and now it's just like, you know what, they're just sort of like modern football.
Gross, aren't they?
Yeah. Kelsey Wilson in the Super Chat says, glad you lads are back. In your own honest opinion, do you think we'll sign any more players? Are you happy if Delo stays and challenges Aaron Wan-Bissaka? Delo was at that game today, actually.
Yep. I think we might sign one more.
I don't think we will.
Do you not?
No. I think if we do, it might be like a Palestri type signing of.
Well, I think if
Mariba maybe.
Yeah, I could see that. I think if Jesse goes,
it was 8-2. Sorry, people were saying. Sorry, if it was
8-2. I think if Jesse goes, let's say we do get somewhere in the region of 25 million, then you're talking about maybe topping that up with another 10-15 million of United's own money. Obviously, that is United's own money, but extra sort of net spend, which I hate. But to take, you could spend 40 million on a Camavinga, a Sal Niguez, a Ruben Neves. I think that could work, and I think maybe getting Lingard off the books could do that, and that would put us to a sort of net spend of around 130 odd million, which is what we've tended to do over the last couple of years.
Yeah, I agree. It's going to be interesting, and as always, we'll have all the comings and goings right up until deadline day, and we'll do what we did last deadline day when we were here until it closed. We'll do that on the final day of it and do an extra bumper long edition. We'll get McCullough back on as well. Saragon McInerney says, Jay, please get Mark and Samo on the Paddock sometimes. Great lads on Red Mancunian. That was one of my earlier podcasts with Tomo and Mark. It was great to see them at the game the other day. It was just such a good day against Leeds, seeing all the old faces. I was saying to Patterson as well, half time, I was chatting to Mark, who's my mate, because there's like someone in between us, and then they all went down to get a beer, me and him weren't drinking, so we were having a chat, and I saw Patterson, and I realised Patterson's now sat near me, and I went, oh, back in a minute. I went and chatted to Patterson, and I thought, why did I do that? I see him all the time.
Yeah, you literally see him 5 days a week. At work.
Like, oh, he's here. Yeah. The guy that I sit next to at work all day. We've got one final transfer story.
Come on then, hit me with it.
This is the one you've been expecting. Pape Sarr. Or Sarr, I should say. I had this the other day. Yeah, this is the Mets youngster. 30 million euros, which is about right if you think about players that we probably could be getting. And United amongst clubs showing interest. I think PSG, sorry, I've just got PSG on the brain. Chelsea and City are in for him. Yeah, it's another one of those. I mean, you could file this under, possibly. Go on, what's someone saying about?
I had their saying, doing the way you pronounce it, Pape Zar, and apparently it's Pape Sar.
Pape Sar. I don't know why I said Zar when it's obviously the same as Ismail Sar, and I just changed the surname for no reason.
Pape Zar. I don't even know that it wasn't right, but when someone just writes it down the way you said it phonetically, it does look quite funny. Go on. Pape Zar.
Yeah, he's been linked with us. I mean, again, a midfielder.
Registered interest.
Yeah. It's one of those, isn't it? It's could he come to Old Trafford? Yes. Are we really going for him? No. I don't know. It's like, who knows? Possibly.
It's worth knowing if this is a name that we may be linked with more and more as we go along. But it just, like I said, we're in the registering interest phase, which, as we've just established with some great acting, is largely a non-story, I think. But again, this may be a name that we link with over the next couple of weeks before the transfer window ends. Like we said, 13 days, 2 weeks. That's what we've got to look forward to, I think. And I think, let's say Jesse goes, I think there could be 1 or 2 sort of surprises in there as well. I think there's a chance we do sign someone, maybe of this sort of calibre of a lesser-known player. But, looking at some of the transfer fees around Europe, looking at the unwillingness for clubs to spend, which then you can sort of infer they don't have that much money and therefore their assets may be worth slightly less than they would have been a couple of years ago. I think we could get a relatively good starting midfielder or a surprisingly good midfielder for 30 to 35 million quid. And I think we've still probably got that knocking about if we want to spend it. I really do.
No, I agree. It does make sense. Yeah. It's one of those. So, again, file under maybe. We'll keep you posted. No one really knows as of yet. We'll wait and see what happens with that one. So, that's about it, really. Good. That's your lot for all that. Thanks to everyone who's got involved in the comments. Disciple of Volley says, what's that?
Up the Arteta, up the Arsenal.
Yeah. If you've not gone, check out Premier League P8 with him and Adam McCullough.
It was a fun one.
It was, yeah.
We've got a members video coming out tomorrow as well, so make sure you check that out if you are a member. If you aren't a member, click the join button, become a member. We do extra content. We've got a fantasy league going at the moment as well with a prize at the end of the season. So if you're not a member already, make sure you check that out and become a member.
Yeah, thanks for everyone who supported the channel. Don't forget to hit like, share and subscribe. Thanks for watching.